Hmm. Hello everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Sprue review, the first of 2024. Don't worry, the Tomb Kings one is coming. It's just turned into a completely different beast. Yes, we are here, and Games Workshop have very kindly sent me the new Deathwing Assault box. And it's okay. Or is it great? I just don't know. See, here's the thing about this box. It's wicked. It's great. I mean, it's really, really cool. But, is it really necessary? I mean, there's arguments in favour and arguments against. I mean, like, the Terminators being the redesigned, upscaled version of the Terminators is fantastic. The new Deathwing Knights look fantastic. Belial is a redesign of the old Belial character, and he looks fantastic. But, there's nothing new in here. See, this is where I'm at with 40k right now, and I'd be very interested to see how you guys feel, so do let me know in the comments. But it's like this thing was needed, because, you know, you want your Terminators and your Deathwing Terminators to all be the same size, to be all as awesome as the new Terminators are in terms of size, power, presence, and all that on the tabletop. It's needed, but is it really necessary? For those of you who've been following along with my live streams and things like that, you'll know that I'm in a bit of a funny place with 40k right now. They keep releasing really lovely redesigns of old models, but there's nothing particularly new or exciting going on here. And that sounds like a complete juxtaposition of emotions, because these are exciting and they are new versions of old models, and they're really cool. They look fantastic. It's absolutely what we want, and it's what the people of 40k have been asking for ages. But I just prefer new stuff. See, from all the stuff that's been previewed for the Dark Angels, the Inner Circle Companions, I think is what they're called, is the only thing that's brand new that we've not seen before. And I think they look amazing, but they're not in here. This is just the Deathwing stuff. And like I said, looks amazing. Absolutely what we wanted, absolutely what we needed, but not necessary. So I have to be a big boy and I have to put that aside and just review this box for the contents of what this box is, putting my personal feelings for 40k aside at this moment. I'm just not vibing with 10th edition and the direction things have gone so far, but I'm hoping that can change. So we're going to do what we normally do in these videos. We're going to have a good look at the sprues and the contents of the box. I'm going to tell you how long it takes to build and the things you need to watch out for. And you are going to like this video, and you're going to comment below telling me what is your feelings right now on Warhammer 40k 10th edition, the direction that they've gone with these new model releases. Because, like I said, I feel like we're in the age of the reboot and redesign. And whilst some of these things we've been waiting for a long time, I wish it wasn't happening, but that's just me. Anyway, let's have a look at Deathwing Assault. I hope you enjoy this one, and I also hope you're subscribed. There we go. I've done all of the 3 things I have to ask you to do as a professional YouTuber man. So let's check out Deathwing Assault. Here it is then, gang. The first 40k army set, I think, of 10th edition, which is interesting. We haven't seen any of these yet, so this is going to be a very good indicator of things to come if we're going to get more army sets. We have Deathwing Assault. Here it is. I'm brandishing a knife because I have not opened this yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to have a little look in the back first, of course. There we go. So as you can see, this box does indeed contain the Codex limited edition version. We have a transfer sheet, at least one. We have the data cards for the Dark Angel specific stuff, which is great that they're included. I love that. We have 10 Terminators here and here, 2 Dark Angels upgrade frames, which I'm going to be interested to see, 5 Deathwing Knights, Belial, 3 Watchers in the Dark, and 3 Teleport Homers, 1, 2, and 3. That's your lot. So, very Terminator heavy, of course. It's the Deathwing. What would you expect? So, let's get this bad boy open, shall we? Picked up the cutting mat as well. There we go. We'll do the other side as well. It's a very thin box, this one. It's not very thick. That's how thin it is. So I'm going to flip it over onto its front to get the full impact of opening it. See what it looks like. There's a very cool looking inside box. Now this isn't a tray. This is an actual openable box. So what we'll do is we'll open it up. And reveal the goodies inside. Now, slightly disappointingly, don't think there's anything loose in there. Slightly disappointingly, the box isn't an all-over artwork. It is just that one, like that, which, you know, that's really cool and that looks nice. And I suspect that that will be in place of an actual art insert, although we'll find out to see if we get one of those as well. On the back, though, we do have this, which is very cool. That'll make for some really nice backgrounds for your photos, for your models and things, if that's what you like to do. So that's pretty cool. It's nice. So let's behold the plastic, shall we? First of all, we have ourselves a Terminator sprue. That's just your bog standard Terminators by the looks of things. And that, I think, is the same sprue again. Yes, identical Terminator sprue. So 2 of those from your Terminator kit, naturally. Then we have this one, which also is the Terminator's kit, because we have a second one here, which is identical in many ways. There we go, as you can see. So even if you're just buying this for loads of Terminators, it's actually not a terrible idea. Then we have our upgrade sprue. Here it is, the whole thing in one place. So sadly, from the old Dark Angels upgrade sprue, we no longer have the holding the sword down one, which is a really classic piece. I'm not sure if that old Primaris upgrade sprue is going to be, you know, gone forever, but it's no longer present on here, which is a bit of a shame because I really like that piece. But we do have everything for the Dark Angels upgrade sprue on here. There's tons and tons and tons of details on here to look at. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 sort of normal sized shoulder pads by the looks of things. I think they're normal sized shoulder pads. We've even got the kind of like slightly more gravity ones by the looks of things, is what they look like at least. These are definitely gravity shoulder pads, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Terminator sized ones, as well as a Sergeant one. There's loads of stuff here. We've now got actually a front facing for a Terminator as well. That's quite nice. Is in the kind of front part of the torso. How many heads do we have? We get ourselves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 heads with which to change things up, and a Terminator head as well. A couple of heraldic devices. The plasma cannon is here, as is this plasma cannon. I'm not sure what that is. Oh no, it's for the same thing. It's the other half of this plasma cannon. Get a Terminator sword, get a normal sized sword, get some Raven Wing things here as well. And I'm pretty certain there's a, Raven Wing fin you can put on the back of your Outriders, for example, and that sort of thing. This is a really nice sprue. We've got the open book as well. That's an absolute classic here. Because, you know, never go to battle without your reading. And of course the Watcher of the Dark here as well. These are really nice little sprues. There's tons of stuff packed in there, and this is obviously the duplicated one. So these are our 2 upgrade sprues, which you could pretty much outfit most of a Dark Angel's army with just the 2 by the looks of things, based on how many shoulder pads there are in here, which is really nice. I like that. That's awesome. This one here has to be Belial. Yeah, look at the size of that. That's absolutely incredible. Look at that cape. It's almost as big as the Lion's himself. Next up, we then have our sprues for our Deathwing Knights. And they are completely separate sprues. Fully redesigned sprues, I should say. This isn't just your Terminator kit with extra bits. This is an actual dedicated Deathwing. Because I thought for a brief moment that it was going to be something like a smart upgrade kit, right? So like your basic Terminator's kit, plus things like the shields and different arms and the swords and the different facings for the Terminators. But no, it's a fully dedicated kit across those 3 sprues. The Maces of Absolution are in here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like 5, 6. Maybe that one's supposed to be like a slightly bigger version. It looks bigger. Maybe that's just Sergeant version. It does look like the flail is gone though, which is a shame. Sad. Oh well. Nothing I can do about it. Have to move on. Then we have our normal Warhammer card insert, not the art one, so you will need the book. And then underneath that is where we have our data cards, kept together in a really cool actually, really nice little card holder for the front and the back. I like that. That looks awesome. We have our limited edition Codex. Here it is in the white of 10th. I like that. White of 10th of a supplement, I guess. Our instructions are in there as well, held into the like that. It's the first time that's ever actually gone off for me, just using my fingernail. To open that up. There's our instruction manual, which we're going to need in a minute when we start building our guys. We'll remove that for now. Put that in the bin. Pop those to one side. Don't need to be just holding those. And this looks absolutely incredible. That is a very nice book. I like this. I like it just to say Dark Angels somewhere on the front. It's just, I mean, it's got it on the side here. But like, this is really, really, really pretty. This feels like a premium book. I like this a lot. I really like that embossed Dark Angels logo there on the front. I think that's really cool. I like the checkerboard along the sides here and here. And of course, Sons of the Lion. Looking fabulous. Lovely artwork, of course. And this one is intended to be well, hold on. Oh, that would have been the Crusade details. So this one is, of course, intended to be used alongside the Space Marine Codex. It doesn't have every single data sheet in it, as far as I know. It's way too thin for it to have every data sheet in it, so I'm making an assumption there. We have our instruction booklet here, which has our 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 pages of instructions. It looks like there's some pretty cool things you can do with the variants on the Deathwing Knights. So this is what I mean about the upgrade sprue. There's that one for the older, for the intercessors, where you could do basically that, which looks awesome. Nice to see it hasn't completely gone. And then it looks like it's pretty monopose from here on out, although more talented builders obviously will have a better time of things, customizing these and part swapping them. And then you just go into your normal standard Terminators, where it gives you the option to include some of the things like this specific power sword from the upgrade kit. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All the kinds of lovely. So assuming that we're going to be getting a upgrade sprue, so the one that we've already got in this set, which we've already had a brief look at, and there's a Watcher of the Dark in there, so presumably if we're going to be getting that as a separate entity, it will include some of these 25, I think, or 28mm bases. I'm not entirely certain what the size is. Let's see if we have a key in the front of this instruction manual that tells us this. Yes, we have 5 25mm bases, 15 40mm bases, and 1 50mm bases. So Belial is absolutely a chungus. He's huge if he's on a 50mm. As is good and proper, I suppose. Here are our transfer sheets. Oh, we actually get 2 of those. There we go. So I'm assuming that when this goes on kind of general sale, the upgrade sprue will be one of these and one of those. And that's a really pretty transfer sheet. That's very pretty. It's brand new, 2024. So that's really, really pretty transfers on here. All these like kind of slightly silvery Dark Angels logos and things like that. It's very, very nice, that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Well, there we go. That is the Deathwing Army set, all in one place. So we are going to be right back with Belial, because he's the first one in the... That doesn't seem to sit flat in the box. So that's a little bit strange. That means that there might be a little bit of pressure on it, because it's... maybe it was in here like this. No, it wasn't. It was in there flat. You can see there's a bit of bowing around the edges of the box, meaning that this box is a little bit too short. Anyway, doesn't matter. Not important at the moment. So we are going to be right back with Belial, because we are going to see how long it takes to build him. We're going to look at the instruction manual, and we're going to examine the sprue, but we're going to do it in a different take. So I'll see you in just a sec. Okay, so kicking things off, of course, on page 1 with Belial, Grand Master of the Deathwing. Now, one thing to point out is once upon a time, and I'm not sure if this has been the case up until now, but as I remember, Belial used to be able to be equipped with a Thunder Hammer and a Storm Shield, or the Sword of Silence and a Storm Bolter. Here is his data sheet. You can no longer do that, which is the same. I meant to say shame, not the same. It is a shame. So that's unfortunately gone. But he does have this new data sheet. Here he is on the page of the instructions. To build him, of course, we will require this sprue here and the 50mm round base. There isn't a diagram here that shows you if you've got the right sized one, which is a little bit of a shame, but if you compare these to a 40mm, which this model here is, that is bigger. Sorry, Dernhelm and Merry. So there we go, there's our 50mm base. And it just fits on the one page of instructions, which is nice. There are no options here. Oh no, there are some options. We have one here for hood up or hood down. That's nice. I don't know why you'd put the hood down. Let's see what he looks like. He looks very cross. Looks like he doesn't really want to be there. But there we go. Anyway, so just the one page of instructions, and counting the components, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 components, plus 1, I would guess, for the head, unless I've counted the head twice there. 16 to 17 components, I think, per build. And this is the model itself on the sprue. So we'll just pop this out of the way just for the moment. Yes, we're using a cutting mat, trying it out, see how it looks on the screen. Tell me if you think this looks nicer. This looks like a little bit more professional But there it is. There is our sprue for Belial. So, first things first, we've already pointed it out, but this cape is absolutely monstrous. It is enormous. There's a huge amount of lovely creases and things in there for getting a nice smooth coat with our contrast paint, which is good. There's a little bit of an impurity going on here on the flat of the cape, which is interesting. I don't know how well that's showing up on the camera. Can you see that? It's like a slight kind of mark in the mold, maybe. But we have connection points, unfortunately, on the actual flats of the cape just here. Now this is a half cutout of where presumably it goes onto the shoulder. Yes, just there. So there is the potential for a great big long liney gap across your cape and shoulder. So you'll just want to make sure you're really careful when you're smoothing that down, first of all, with a knife and mold line remover. And generally with these kits, if you use enough glue, it should press right together and there won't be the gap, but you might want to have some green stuff on standby just for the sake of that. It won't matter so much on this shoulder because that is the underside of this shoulder pad, so that will cover up any gaps or anything that you might potentially have on there, and that would be for the storm bolter arm, which is this one, I think. There must be another part to that I'm just not quite seeing. Yeah, there, the front of that. So do just watch out for that. Otherwise, we also have this leg here. There's a connection point on the actual smooth part of the leg, but that should be on the inside of the cloak by the looks of things. Oh no, it's his left leg, so that's bang on the outside. So you'll want to be really careful around here on this one. Just watch out for that so as not to kind of gouge that or make yourself any problems with that one. I think I've got that right. We have the sword here, which has got two connection points on the actual blade, on two cutting edges of the blade. So that's going to be a bit tricky. Just again, be really careful with your knife. Don't apply too much pressure as you go through it, because you will take chunks out of the Sword of Silence and it'll look really obvious. You don't want to do that, obviously. Be careful as well around this piece of the waist, because again, this is one of those kind of outward facing details, so just be a little bit careful around there. This part as well will apply to kind of sticking this one into this piece here. You want to make sure that that's nice and smooth down, but not taken off too much, because otherwise you'll create a gap on his tummy, and you don't want to have that happen, of course, because this is on his like forward striding leg, and then this one will presumably slot in just there. So just be careful around that piece. For the greaves on the legs, we have some connection points around the outside on the smooth panels, so here and here and here as well, so just watch out for those. And similarly, we have another connection point on the back of this leg, right on the top of that piece of the hydraulics on the legs, so watch out for that. The storm bolter here as well, we have connection point on the actual buckle here, so that's nice. It's not on the actual, it's not on the leather itself, but we do have it on the top of the storm bolter on both sides. So you'll want to make sure that you get this one absolutely perfect, because otherwise it won't lock together properly. And this one, you'll want to be careful not to take too much off, because again, you don't want to gouge it and have a kind of chunk missing from the top of your storm bolter. That would be a disaster. This bear head is attached to the sprue at the neck, so that is great and gives you a nice smooth top of his head. But unfortunately, the hooded option does have a connection point on the hood, which is annoying, because that will be harder to smooth down, because it's a nice soft supple cloth. So just be careful with that when you're clipping it out and then smoothing it down with your knife or mold line remover. Overall, there's lots of detail packed into this sprue. It's not ideally laid out, because we've got things like something I haven't even pointed out or noticed until just looking at this angle. This connection point here is on the flat of his hip plate, and I always hate this. This is just so irritating, because we've got that lovely spike just there at the bottom of the plate, and you're going to just be really careful as you're smoothing it down, because otherwise you might gouge too much out of the armor plate, or if you're adding too much pressure to it, you end up taking off the stud or the spike down there, which you don't want to do, obviously, because it looks really cool. That's a little bit disappointing. So overall, it's a okay sprue, but there is quite a bit to watch out for on this one. So, well, we'll see how long it takes to build not Azrael, it's Belial, Grandmaster of the Deathwing, and we're going to see how long it takes to do that, starting now. So Belial is all built, and he's a big boy. Very big boy indeed. And it's pretty cool. I like it. Now, I looked inside the bag of bases that came in my Deathwing Assault box, and we've got ourselves another 50mm round base. I'm not sure why. It's a mispack, but hey, free 50mm base. Hopefully you get one as well. We then have 15 40mm, and then we have 7 25s. So 3 Watchers in the Dark, 3 Teleport Homers, and a spare one. Hey! I think. I'm pretty certain. Anyway, what we're going to need to do next is build the Deathwing Knights. So for that, we're going to require 5 of these 40mm bases. So we're just going to move those 5 out of the way, and these 5 out of the way, and we're also going to require some of these for a Watcher in the Dark and for a Teleport Homer, so we can move those out of the way. So we're going to require that set of bases. We're also going to require this sprue and this double sprue, which I will now snap in half like that to create 3 whole sprues. We're also going to require, of course, the instructions. So here we have it. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5, 6 pages worth of instructions. As you can see, Watcher in the Dark, Teleport Homer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 miniatures for our delight. There it is. Now, what we have is we have some interchangeable parts up here. So this is our 1, 2, well, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 heads. All in all, there's 2 of this one. So 2, 3, 4, 5 with helmets. The rest are hoods and bear heads, which is pretty cool. I'm probably going to go all helmets because I think that will look really cool, especially on these new Deathwing Knights. And there's new Deathwing Knight helmets. Look very, very cool. They're almost Grey Knight Terminator helmets, which leaves me with a lot of hope for the future of the Grey Knights. And we have the Maces of Absolution and the swords as the options here for the weapons. Now, of course, we have a storm shield for each of them, and you'll notice here on the interchangeable parts that the storm shields do not appear to be interchangeable. Now, it might be that they are, but it doesn't explicitly call out that they are, so it might be that they fit only specifically on each hand. So we'll have to find that out as when we're building them. But we have the option for the maces on everybody and swords on everybody, which is pretty cool. It's pretty darned cool, if you do ask me. Each one comes in a number of components, naturally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 for just the sergeant, which is a lot of components for one guy. But then if we go on to just your kind of normal standard Terminator, it's more like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so it's going to be roughly 17 components per Terminator. At least that's the way it's looking at the moment. So they should be quite in-depth to build, but we'll find out as and when we get to it in just a moment. So we'll pop this to one side just for a moment. We're going to have a quick investigate of those sprues. So first of all, we should just check to see how many shields we get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So one of these will be a sergeant's shield, and one of these will be just for your normal, everyday, regular Deathwing Knight shield, which is interesting. As mentioned as well, we've got all these maces and swords. There's 1, 2, 3 swords here, 1, 2, 3 maces, and then on this one we have a 4th sword and a 4th mace just there. We have the big sword, 5, 6, 5, 6. 6 weapons. 1 for the sergeant, which is slightly different from the others, which is pretty cool. So let's have a look at this sprue first, shall we? Now, I'm not expecting any surprises here. I'm expecting the usual things we find with Space Marine kits. But first things first, I'm just going to point out that these swords, 1, 2, and 3, they do not have a connection point on the blade, which is lovely. Love to see that. It's very nice. Our shoulders here have the connection points on the underside of the shoulder, so it's nice and easy to hide. Terminator bodies are on the connection points around the outside, but on this one, we don't have it on the top, but this one we do. So there's a connection point right there on the top of the roof of the Terminator armor. So watch out for that, because you don't want to take too much off it when you're smoothing it down, because that's one of those very noticeable spaces if you do accidentally do it. The same for the Deathwing kind of torso fronts as well. We have a connection point just here on the outside. And this is one of those ones where it's not so much the top of it that you'll notice if you take too much off of it. It's actually the gap just underneath it if you take too much off with your knife. This one shouldn't be too bad because it's right there on the join, just there on that kind of that gap between the two, the divider. Whereas this one, if you take too much off, you will cut straight into that kind of the venting bit just there. So just be really careful around those bits, because you don't want to do that. We have a heraldic device here, which is attached around the outside. Our leg greaves, they all appear to have connection points on the sides, on the flat of the armor, which, as we talked about with Space Marines, I don't like seeing, because it's just annoying. It'll be the same for any hip plates if they have it, but these ones are actually loose hip plates that are attached to the sprue on the sides, which is fabulous. I really like that. That's nice, because it might add an extra step to building your miniatures, but at least it's not going to be annoying to smooth down, which is lovely. The shields are all attached around the outsides of the shields, as you would expect. There's nothing encroaching on the flat or the front or the back, which is really good. And we have connection points on the underside of things like the arms, so here and here and here, for example. So those are nice and easy to hide, although this one is on the rounded bit of the sort of power part, the power cable delivery system. We have a connection point on the top of the shield handle there, though, so do just watch out for that. The swords, though, we'll just point this out, is that they have the connection points on the cross guards in slightly awkward to get to positions. So what you want to be is very careful when you're smoothing those down with your knife. As always, you always want to be careful. But what you want to do is you want to attack it from the angle where you have got just a little space of the actual miniature. What I mean by that is, if you look at this sword here, for example, you want to come at it from this direction, because if you come at it from the other one, you might cut into the sword and end up lopping off half of the crossguard, which you don't want to do. I think it's the hilt or something. Maybe it was what it's called. Well, the hilt of the sword is right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Someone will correct me in the comments, I am sure. Please do comment below. The legs, we have connection points on the hydraulics again, but we have it on the underside of the foot. And then this one is this bit here is on the inside, which will be covered up by one of the greaves, which is absolutely fine. I really like the way those legs are attached. So it's a pretty good sprue. The maces are attached at the top, which is good. It's not attached in and around the kind of the stabby bits of the mace, which is a big plus. We don't want to see that. Having it on the top is great. Having it on the handle is a little bit annoying, because that's the rounded area, But I don't know if you're going to be building many maces, because if you're a Deathwing fan and you've already got your knights, you've probably already got maces on them, so I doubt you'll be building them. But if you are, do just watch out for the handles. Anyway, that's sprue number 1. Sprue number 2. Can't imagine that there's anything here that's going to be surprising. However, we are going to be surprised by one thing, of course, and that is the downward facing sword being held down by the Deathwing Sergeant. We have a connection point right there on the blade, which we don't like, but this one, we do have it not on the blade. We're on the crossguard again. The bodies have the same feedback. The legs have the same feedback as before. We've got the hip plates again. They're nicely connected on the sides, which is lovely. This is one of the Sergeant ones again as well, so that's not built into the actual leg of the model. That's here separately. So yeah, another indicator of a different type of detail to make this either a Sergeant or a Knight Master, I believe is what they're called, or just your regular Deathwing Knight. Bodies again attached exactly the same way. The canopy, some of them are on connected at the top here, so this one isn't, but this one is, so watch out for that. And again, greaves are the same, shin pads, shoulders, maces, or we do actually have a connection point on this mace just there, and same on this one as well, so watch out for those. Again, you don't want to take too much off when you're smoothing those down. Shields are the same, they're on the outside. These are really sick as well. That's awesome shield right there. I love that one. I suspect that this is for the Sergeant version, B22. Yep, there we go. Guessed it straight away. That's why you guys pay me the big bucks. Yeah, this is a cool little sprue. Anyway, I know we just breezed through that one, but here we have our final one, and this is where we actually do have something we do need to talk about, which is their heads, of course, and we are going to be a little bit disappointed, although it's not the end of the world. So the helmeted heads are all attached on the top of the helmet, which is sad to see because it makes it a little bit trickier to smooth them down. It's not like, for example, these hooded heads, or these bare heads. So these three, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. They're all attached at the neck, which is great. It's nice and easy to smooth down the top, but the helmets are attached at the back of the head. So it should be hidden, but you still want to smooth it down anyway, just in case you can see a bit of like floating plastic, which you definitely don't want, because that would be rubbish. Not saying that you're rubbish, it would just look a bit rubbish and you'd be very sad. So just be very careful around those helmets. Do go with the curvature of the helmet for that middle bit, the sort of Mohican bit. I think it looks like a mohawk on the Space Marine helmets, but you know, it is what it is. And we have a teleport homer, which doesn't look changed at all from the Indomitus one, so that's cool. It's nice to see. Our little Watcher in the Dark is unique to the Deathwing Knights. It's not like the one that comes in the upgrade sprue, which we will have a look at shortly, but these ones, this is our unique one. So the connection points are naturally going to be in the robe, and there's nothing we can do about it because it's a fully robed miniature. So you've got one here, here, and here. So be careful around here on the top of the head. This one's fine because it's underside of the body. You want to be careful on that one, and similarly you want to be careful on this one on the side of its body. On the arms, yes, it is the arms, and the sensor bearer and the smoky bit. Just be careful around the underside of the smoke. That's the kind of area to forget, and then you'll end up with a very sharp shard piece of plastic in there, which will just be not smooth smoke, which is not what you want. Overall, it's not a very surprising kit. So little bits of disappointment, but also lots of coolness. So we're going to jump in and we're going to start building them. We'll build one, see how long it takes, and yeah, that will tell you how long it will take to build the unit, because they all seem to be roughly the same amount of components. So we'll be right back in just a second. So our Deathwing Knights are now all built, and they are really thick. These look like the Terminators I wanted from Leviathan. There's just lots going on there. more akin to the Blade Guard, for example, which would a real step up on the Mark 10 armor. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, I think these look absolutely fantastic. Really, really cool. Really, really, really cool. Deathwing Knights. Gonna love them, right? Lovely stuff. So we've built all 5. We've built the Teleport Homer and the Watcher in the Dark as well, of course. So the only thing left that's new in the box is the upgrade kit. And whilst we've already looked at the Terminators before here on the channel, you can find that somewhere else here. We are not going to build some Terminators right now because time is a factor. However, we are going to look in depth at the Dark Angels upgrade transfer sheet, of which there are 2, and we are going to look in depth properly at the upgrade sprue, of which there are 2. Now, we had a little quick run through of them earlier, but I just want to kind of real deep dive into them. And one thing that I think is a little bit disappointing about this box is that they don't give you a instruction manual for these. Now, if you recall in things like the Cadian Guardsman upgrade set, there's a little instruction manual in there that gives you kind of a few pointers on where you could put some of the upgrades. It's not a be all and end all, because of absolutely it wouldn't be, because there's so much to cover in the ranges like the Astra Militarum and indeed Space Marines, of course. But I would have liked just a little kind of section in there that gives you a kind of indicator of where, or possible ideas on where to put things. That would have been very nice. However, it does, as you're going through the Terminators, give you some pointers as to where you can put some things. So for example, what we do have here is a Terminator sword, which is different to the one that comes in the Terminators kit. We have, of course, have the plasma cannon as well, which is very, very cool. I like it a lot. So our Terminator shoulder guards, here they are with the Dark Angels insignia. So these definitely all Dark Angels, all Terminators, because they're just slightly bigger, but they also don't have that shield guard thing here. This, I'm pretty certain, is a Gravis shoulder pad. So within this, we've got our 5 for our Terminators that we can use to upgrade our Deathwing Terminators, and there's no reason why these ones won't fit, but generally with Terminators, the Dark Angels bit goes, well, the chapter bit goes on the right hand side, on the right arm. So the guard bit here would be at the back, which is often a problem that has been had with, for example, using these things on stuff like Deathwing, God, what are they called? Death Watch, because your guard is all on the wrong side, because it moves over to the right hand side for the Death Watch. Whereas traditionally, and something like your Inceptors, for example, you put it on the left-hand side for a normal Space Marine, and then your kind of unit marking would go on the right, so like that arrow of a tactical Marine, for example. So that all makes sense. This is a Gravis, 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 Gravis. So there's enough here to do a full unit of 6 Gravis. And then we've got the normal Mark 10 shoulder pads, which could also, of course, be used for Primaris or Firstborn, of which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And actually, these are Phobos shoulders, you see. So that's very nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See how this is where I get a little bit confused, right? Because this is where it would be nice to have a little guide. So these are Phobosy, these are Intercessory, and these look Infernus squaddy because they've got that little indent there, or maybe Outridery or something like that. These feel like they're more kind of akin to, well, like I said, things like the Infernus squad. The Ravenwing icons are very cool. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. So there's enough to put one on either side of a unit of bikes. We have the book, of course, which can be mounted on the front of a bike. We have the fin as well to put on the other side of the bike. This, I'm assuming, is for the mounting of the Ravenwing fin. But again, it's not in the instruction manual, so it's not entirely clear. We have another book here. Got lots of little kind of trinkets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got some more impressive tilting shields, and got the hip plates as well. The top part of a backpack for like a captain or something. A storm bolter component. I believe that this combines with the Terminator kit as well, specific part. And of course we've got a Terminator front plate of a torso. All of the heads are pretty cool. They're all attached to the sprue at the neck, which is nice. I like this guy with the hood down. I like these guys with the hoods up, especially these. All of these look really cool. Again, we've got Phobos or intercessory type hoods here. So there is, we've got Blade Guard here. There's some Blade Guard heads. And yeah, some really impressive little details here. Now, the reason why I'm looking at this is because this might be a symbol of things to come. So, for example, the Blood Angels, they're obviously one that is yet to receive their stuff for 10th edition. And if this is a marker of the future, then we might see a Blood Angels upgrade sprue that is similar to this, because they have, alongside the Blood Angels, Space Wolves, and the Dark Angels, they all have the kind of first run at Primaris upgrade sprues, which is just one single sprue, which has, I want to say, 5 normal shoulder pads and 3 Gravis ones on each of them. And it's not ideal for building entire units of things, because you have to build 2 of them in order to get through the entire thing. Whereas when the Imperial Fists and the Raven Guard and all that came out, they got something that was more like this. Not quite as in depth as this, but something that was more like this, in that there was enough kind of shoulder pads and transfer sheets that go with it to make it absolutely worth it. So again, looking at this transfer sheet, you've got almost everything you could want from the transfers. What we don't have though is the kind of the numbered squad markings, which you'll still have to combine using other things. Usually it's something like you put an arrow and then the number over the top for things like the Green Wing. Can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but they do have slightly more complex unit markings than some of the others out there, which again leads me to not worry, but perhaps if the Blood Angels are going to have one that is very similar to this, a lot of their unit markings happen on the knee, so the little lightning bolt or the skulls or the little teardrop, for example, and it's usually in white or black or yellow, depending, or blue, in fact, actually, or green. There's a number of different colors for it, but it depends on it gives you the kind of what number squad you are, basically how the Blood Angels do it. So you know, there is that. Also, if they have the teardrops in the different colors to indicate company markings, which I'll be very interested to see, because it doesn't seem like we do have company markings here. But again, you guys out there will probably have a better idea of what that looks like for the Dark Angels. But this is a really nice transfer sheet. There are some really cool things. We've got some more Raven Wing iconography here, and we've got some bigger iconography there for the Raven Wing. We have some Deathwing on here as well, and then we have kind of the vehicle stuff around here, which can also be ramped up to things like Dreadnoughts and Predators and Repulsors and Land Raiders and things like that. I really like this size of thing. You can definitely use that on some Rhino doors, for example. It's a really cool transfer, that one. I'm big into that one. But yeah, I mean, just like it's a cool little transfer sheet. It's nicer. It looks nicer than the old Dark Angels transfer sheet, which I don't have to hand right now, but the old one looks a bit blocky and a little bit goofy at times, but this one feels like a little bit more succinct, a little bit more kind of just to the point. I think there's a lot less wastage on here. There's definitely kind of a lot more small decals on here as far as I can remember. Again, could be wrong on that, but I think this is a really cool little transfer sheet. So overall, I think the upgrade stuff is nice. I think it's a really good addition to the Dark Angels, and I think it is a shame that the planted sword from that old Primaris upgrade sprue is now gone, and there aren't any like plasma pistols or anything like that in here, but most of those kits generally tend to have a plasma pistol option for the sergeant anyway, so like your Hell Blasters and your Intercessors and stuff like that, they generally tend to have them. They're not hard to find, so it doesn't really matter that they're not in here. But I think this is a really nice addition to the Dark Angels, especially if you combine this with the old upgrade sprue as well. You'll have a bunch of components with which you can build quite a sizable, good little force out of. If there is a new combat patrol, for example, coming, this is perfect for that kind of thing. So yeah, I really like it. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's all. I mean, like I said, we're not going to build up a whole unit of Terminators just to use this, because really all we would use is the plasma, this front bit, the sword, and the 5 shoulder pads, and otherwise it would be fundamentally exactly the same for the space, the Terminators, because it is the same kit as we've already seen from Leviathan and then from the multi-part release. But I don't know. I think it's nice. It's nice. Obviously, we get a little watcher in the dark, which is cool. So you'll be able to have watchers everywhere, watching you at all times, forever. So there you have it. Belial, Deathwing Knights, Deathwing Terminators, which are the new Terminators from Leviathan and the multi-part release, plus the brand new Dark Angels upgrade sprues, all in one place. Now, I like it. I don't want it though. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, these are all really awesome. These are all really excellent. But I would really have liked to have seen more stuff like the Inner Circle Companions. Now, did I get a chance to paint all of this? No, because we've had postal issues at this end for a couple of weeks now, and it turned up 2 days ago. So I only managed to get one thing painted, but I did manage to get the best thing painted. I am, of course, talking about Belial. Here he is, with his enormous cape and his enormous body, because he's a very, very big boy. I think he looks absolutely incredible. I really enjoyed painting him. I think he just looks absolutely wonderful. And, well, I did a couple of extra things that I don't normally do on this, so, yeah, that was a fun challenge. Now, not to worry, we are going to do the Deathwing Knights as well, just so that's a separate video for you guys to peruse and use at your leisure. Now, let's talk about Deathwing Assault in depth as a product. There's a lot of bang for your buck in here. 15 Terminators is a huge amount of Terminators, and it feels really cool. I mean, they are just the big chunks of the Space Marine range. They are iconic. They do look fantastic. The new upscaling was absolutely needed, and it does look very, very, very nice. Like, they just fit really well into Space Marines armies now, which the older Terminators weren't doing as great a job at, given the Primarisification of everything that's happened in the last nearly sort of 10 years type thing. And it's really nice to see a lot of character now being introduced to these, especially with the Deathwing and the Deathwing Knights. The Deathwing Knights, I think, are much nicer than the Deathwing Terminators, because the Deathwing Terminators is just an upgrade sprue with some extra bits thrown onto that kit. But that kit on its own is really nice. It's got lots of presence and power and all that kind of thing. So just adding a couple of little Dark Angels flourishes in there is really good. The Deathwing Knights on their own look really good. They're really, really nice. They add a lot of Dark Angelsiness with the tabards and all that kind of thing. And the shields are just fantastic. I think they look unbelievably cool. And I really like that they're not kind of, you know, have a hand sculpted in. So if you've got spare shields, you can use them elsewhere. You can put them on your Praetors for your Horus Heresy, or indeed you could put them on a Primaris Captain type thing that you want to make yourself. Belial as well is a really, really, really good looking character. I went a little bit above and beyond with this one as well, which is something I don't normally do. I did a bit of OSL type thing going on, and a little bit of a sort of true metallic, non-metallic, metal-y type thing going on the sword. And I did that because I thought it would really elevate the model, and it's how they've presented it on the box art. And, well, I feel like I did a really good job on it. You'll have to tell me whether or not I did, based on the few seconds that you saw of it there, and indeed the painting tutorial that's on its way. And as mentioned, there's a Deathwing tutorial on its way as well, so don't worry if you're worried. just don't do it. I think the new Codex is really nice. I love the datasheet cards being in here, which is really good. You can just bolt them onto your Codex Space Marines datasheet cards if you've already got those as well. The transfer sheet is excellent. The upgrade sprue is exactly what the Dark Angels have been waiting for. And if this is a herald of things to come for our other main chapters in the form of Space Wolves and Blood Angels, and indeed Death Watch as well, then it's a good time to be an alternative Space Marine player. So there's lots of positives to be had out of this box. But there's some negatives as well. And the negatives are really very specific to me, and I don't know if anybody else feels the same way as I do. But, as mentioned, the Deathwing Knights are a redesign of the Deathwing Knights. The Deathwing Terminators are a redesign of Terminators with a redesigned upgrade sprue. And Belial is a redesigned character. Now, as I've already spoken about a couple of times during this video, the redesigns are really lovely. They are. They're just really, really nice. And they bring a lot of presence to your armies. They start to kind of align the Space Marine collection a lot more, which is really, really, really good. And it eliminates that kind of variance that people were having between kind of Firstborn characters from a long time ago and Firstborn units to the newer style of creating and designing Space Marine units, which is really good, really positive, really awesome. However, I just feel like there's a bit of a lack of creativity going on in 40k at the moment. We are doing a lot of redesigning of older units, and you can almost count the amount of new stuff that's happened already in the entire edition on two hands, which, given as we've had Space Marines, Tyranids, Necrons, Admech, and now Dark Angels, I shouldn't be able to do that. I'm a sucker for brand new units that do something completely different, or indeed just bring something new to an army. And as I've already mentioned in this video, the Inner Circle Companions, whilst they do look like really super fancy Dark Angels-y Blade Guard are really cool. So in some ways they're an embellishment upon a newer unit, and in some ways they are a redesign, but we've never heard of them before, and I think they look unique enough that they're not just Blade Guard, basically. Aside from that, for the Space Marines, the only new thing we've had is the Infernus Squad. So, you know, that's the trouble that I'm having at the moment with 40k, as opposed to Age of Sigmar, where, you know, they're just kind of doing new stuff all of the time. There's a couple of, like, reboots here and there, but the example I'll point to is the Iron Jaws release, you know? A lot of that was new, and that was just a chuck them out any old Saturday, you know? So it seems a bit unfair to compare, because Age of Sigmar's models are on another level to 40k's and have been for a while, and that to me isn't a fair comparison, because I think there has to be a little bit more of a grounded nature, although it is a high science fiction fantasy universe for the Warhammer 40,000s. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling here, but this is kind of just where I'm at with 40k, is I'm waiting to see either the entire new half of something like the World Eaters or the Leagues of Votann, for example, if those are indeed things that are going to happen. What this does is it says to me that for all the rumours that have been circulating about the Space Wolves, about the Blood Angels, they're probably accurate, even without anyone pretending that they've got a leak, you know? So if we are getting new Sanguinary Guard, if we are getting redesigned Death Company, if we are getting redesigned Blood Angels Assault Terminators, then fantastic. I can't wait to see them. But I would prefer for those older kits to at least be one-to-one with new stuff. The other thing as well is, like, this Belial miniature is really, really cool. And I think it looks fantastic. But did it have to be Belial? Could it have been a new Master of the Deathwing? Could we have killed Belial and then had someone new step into the shoes and maybe just create some books or something around some new characters? I don't know. It's not like they haven't killed characters in the past. I mean, Tycho is still in the Blood Angels Codex. So, come on. Anyway, we're reviewing Deathwing Assault, and based on the contents of this box, the sprues themselves, we've already looked at the Terminators before, so they don't really affect the score. I think the transfer sheet and the upgrade kit are really good. There are so many good components on there. The Phobos shoulder pads, for one, just being a wicked addition to the Dark Angels upgrade sprue. I have said that the downward facing sword from the old Primaris upgrade sprue is missing is a bit of a shame, but the fact that you've just kind of quadrupled, tripled the amount of shoulder pads that are available, especially for the units that they're available for on that sprue, top notch. Belial went together really well. The Terminators, Deathwing Knights Terminators, went together really well. So on the face of it, the kits themselves, they easily sit at a 8 out of 10 on the Land Raider scale. As for this box, if you're not as jaded as I am at the moment, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10 on the Land Raider scale. But with how I feel about 40k, my personal feelings on it, it almost bumps it down to a 5. Because it's like, it's great, but it's not really what I wanted. And that's entirely subjective, which a review usually is. So let's go for an average 7 out of 10 between those two. Or 6.5. 6.5 out of 10 on the Land Raider scale. There you go. I mean, it's not fair. I don't think I'm being fair. I think I'm putting too much of my own attitude into that. You can rate it for yourselves. Either way, it's a cool box. It's just not what I wanted. And I think that's absolutely fine. So there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. And please do let me know how you feel about 40k right now and the models that they're releasing. I'd be very interested to find out, because I know it's doing really well. There are people out there who have returned to the game in droves because of this edition, and that's fantastic to see. I'm just somebody who's been around for a while. I'm a little bit grumpy from time to time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon for a painting video for Belial, probably. That's probably what's next. But thank you, and I will see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming! If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/Warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you, I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.